This podcast may contain paid advertisements, but more on that later. Welcome to the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, your go-to resource for unraveling the intricacies of business and leadership, honing in on the essence of bootstrapping a business from scratch. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur, a dedicated bootstrapper, or a leader navigating life's various challenges, this podcast is crafted just for you. I'm Isaiah O'Connor, your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, and my mission is to guide you towards personal and professional growth. Let's embark on this journey together. So the other day, I came across a YouTube short where a guy was talking about what a leadership is and what makes you a leader, and he was talking about the SEALs and a bunch of different stuff. And it got me thinking that would be a great podcast episode. So let's get into it. So one of the very first things he pointed out was leadership is not about a title. It's about influence. Even if you have a title, if you look behind you and there's no one following you, you're not a leader. A leader is a person that has people following them. And a boss could be a leader, but a boss may not be a leader in the sense of, sure, they have a position of authority, of even power over you, but you have no respect for them and you wouldn't follow them if you didn't have to. That's a big difference. And this goes back into my whole required secondary powers series where I talk about things like humility, a teachable spirit, kindness. These things all actually tie into making a great leader. So let's dive into this a little bit deeper. I had a manager that I respected really deeply. He wasn't just a boss, but a real leader. So much so that he worked to develop me. I was his assistant manager. He helped me grow in leadership and understanding. He taught me things. He encouraged me, helped me grow. And he left the company for a different company. A few months later, he asked me to join him. And he was not just a boss, he was a leader. So I actually followed him. I didn't hesitate. I followed him to the next company. So that was what a real leader looks like. You follow them wherever they go. Now, have you ever had leaders that aren't like that? I'm sure I have. There's lots of memes and jokes about middle management, corporate, whatever, that deal with this. So let's take a look at a manager who is just a boss. I worked again later on for another guy, also at Radio Shack, who was just a boss. I had gone back and was working part-time at Radio Shack to pick up some extra hours, and because they didn't have a manager or an assistant manager position available, I just went there and worked as an associate with the other guys just to kind of supplement my income from the other job. I was working 2 jobs at the time just to make ends meet. So my new manager was not a leader. He was very much a boss. He would take credit for our work. He would blame us for his mistakes. And none of the employees really respected him. They followed him because they had to. He was the boss, but no one really wanted to follow him. He also gossiped. He talked behind our backs. He told about the other employees. He talked bad about us. I mean, just everything you would expect a bad boss to look like. Now, even though I was just a regular associate, I wound up being the true leader of the store. I'm not trying to brag about this at all. The other guys, I helped them because it helped the whole store. I helped them learn how to sell. I helped them understand things. I just helped them out because it was the right thing to do. Take care of the other guys, take care of the store, and we all did better. And later on, they came to me and they said, you know what? We like you. You help us. We're going to follow your lead because you're taking better care of us than he is. Now, at this moment, I was on equal footing with them. They were following me because I was being a leader, not because I was their boss. I was not in any position of authority over them. But they recognized that I understood things well. I'd worked there longer than they had, and I was helping them out and training them up. So that helped out. Now, to contrast this, part of the reason I learned this is because I did take a boss approach with one guy. When I was working at the other store as an assistant manager, matter of fact, with the manager I mentioned that was a good leader, I had one guy that was a bit of a rough around the edges, shall we say. He had a really bad habit of trying to take credit for other people's work. Now, he left to go off to school, and on his very last day, he decided to steal a cell from me. Now, what do I mean by that? What he had done is, in our system, we could assign a cell, a manager or an assistant manager could give the credit for a cell to a different employee. They could split the cell by percentage or what have you. Because we were based... Ooh, smack. We were based on a commission and a bonus system called spiffs. For example, if you sold a cell phone with a certain plan, you get $10 on your paycheck immediately. Now, sometimes we would work as a team. For example, one day a guy came in and he wanted to buy a GPS. I really didn't know the GPS units that well, but I had a guy that worked with me, coworker, that knew GPS really, really well. So I said, hey, go to this guy, he'll help you out. After he was done with the GPS, he goes, oh yeah, and I want a police scanner. Well, the GPS guy didn't know anything about police scanners. However, I did, so he gave him to me to do the police scanner. End of the day, the guy buys around $200-300 worth of stuff. It was a big sell, big ticket. Now, we both helped the guy out, so we agreed to split the sell and the commission between the two of us because he took half of the sell, I took half. We both helped. We worked together as a team to do this, so I went back, we split the sell, no problem. However, this one guy on his last day decided, without asking, without actually doing anything to help, to sneak back into the back office. He had stolen the manager's password by looking at it when he typed it in behind his back. He typed it in, changed the cell, took half of my cell, and put it on his account. I was not happy with this. Fortunately, I caught it, but I didn't really do much of it because it was his last day. Now, when he came back, because he did, after he did his school, he came back to work a little bit for us again. On his first day back, I decided to go into boss mode. I was personally angry at him the way he had stolen from me, or attempted to steal from me. And therefore, I grabbed him aside, went in the back room, got pretty in his face, and gave him a lecture, and told him in no uncertain terms that he had better never, ever do that type of nonsense again. Otherwise, I would fire him on the spot. Even though I didn't have the authority to do so, I didn't tell him that. I was mad, and I gave him a really hard time. I lectured him, and I demanded respect as his assistant manager, that he needed to respect my title. Yeah, I've had better moments. Now, my manager, that leader, he pulled me aside, and while he understood my concerns and the fact that he stole that cell from me, he told me that I went about that in the wrong way. I had to admit, he was right. I did not have to engage with this kid like that. I could have handled it much better. Matter of fact, I knew how to handle it much better. But this was personal, and I took it personally, so I let my feelings get involved. Something dangerous to do. Now, I will get into how I handled a similar problem employee in a better fashion after our short mid-break. Welcome to the mid-break, and at the time of this recording, I have no new Patreons or 5-star reviews to go over. So if you have given a 5-star review or signed up on Patreon and you don't hear me shouting you out this time, that's because I've recorded this ahead of time. A couple of weeks, I'm trying to stay on top of it. If I get a chance and I catch it, going forward, if I record in advance and I see a review come in or a new Patreon come in, I will go back, edit that back in, and re-upload. But for now, if you haven't heard about it, don't worry, I will get to you. I am extremely thankful and grateful. It's just the gap because I'm trying to stay ahead of the game. Speaking of momentum coming off of the last episode. So, everyone else, I do thank you for listening. I thank you for my subscribers. I'm very, very thankful for this. It helps keep me going. And if you want to join us, please go ahead, come to the Discord. Come talk to me. Send me an email. Let's communicate. I want this to be a two-way communication, not me just talking at you. Anyway, let's get back to the podcast. Welcome back. And now to talk about the time where I did a better job as a leader. Earlier, I had been working at a casino in an arcade as a shift lead. And as a shift lead, we had this young lady working for us who constantly was a bit of a scofflaw. She flaunted the rules, whatever. And we had a very strict dress code. One of those things where no tongue piercings. At least in your tongue. You could have the hole for the piercing, but you couldn't have anything visible. If you need to, you could put one of those little tiny little studs in there that look like the tongue so that you can't see it. But she would keep wearing her very visible tongue piercing at work. So finally, I took her aside, and I think I handled this better because I was not emotionally attached. I was not upset with her in that sense. And I talked to her. I said, hey, you know what? My job is to make you do your job. And if you don't do your job, that means I'm not doing my job. And if I'm not doing my job, I can get in trouble. Said, you know what? I'm not a mean guy. You know that. She said, yeah. You know I'm a nice guy and I'm not yelling at you. She goes, yeah. So all I'm asking is I need you to follow the rules because me and the other guys here, you like the other guys, the other leads, the other guys in charge? Yeah. Well, our job is to make sure you do your job. So if you don't do your job, we can get in trouble. And you don't want to do that. And she agreed. I was just put into simpler terms, made her understand that we're just following the rules. We're not making the rules. It's not nothing like that. And I wasn't mean with her. I was just very kind with her. A little bit later on that evening, another guy walked in and came up to me and said, hey, Isaiah, what did you tell her? I'm like, why? He said, I've never seen her work so hard. She's even sweating. What'd you say? And I told him, but the whole idea was I addressed her in a very kind but yet firm way to get her to do what I needed to do. Because I gave her good, clear, concrete expectations and treated her with kindness and it provided real influence. Now, the other guy that stole the commission, I kind of blew up on him. I got emotional and I laid into him. And that wasn't the way to do it. I missed an opportunity to earn his respect, to treat him with kindness, to be firm. I could have handled it better. I could have said, you know what? You came back, I was really upset with what you did there. I could have explained to him, if I did that to you, you would not have been happy either. And I could have dealt with it in a much nicer, kinder way. I shifted into boss mode instead. So I blew it on that. Later on, I wasn't the boss. I had no authority. And I was more of a leader than when I had the name. So, to sum it up, being a good leader means being humble, kind, teachable, and yet firm. And a good example is Robin Olds, who was a World War II ace fighter pilot. I've talked to him about him before. And when he went in, he got recalled back to train the new recruits in Vietnam in dogfighting tactics. He had never flown a jet before. What did he do? Did he go in there and start bossing people around and telling them what to do, even though he had no clue how to fly a jet? No. He went in there, signed up on the training roster, and allowed his own men to train him on how to use a jet and fight in a jet. And once he was proficient enough, he then went ahead and trained them in the dogfighting tactics. Now he knew how to do it right. And he earned everyone's respect. All his men loved him because they saw that he was humble. He let them teach him, and he was kind, but yet he was still firm. So, with that deep respect, he vastly impacted the war effort because of that. I'm going to kind of sum up with a visual meme, and I'm going to even risk using this meme in my picture on the thing, which is, there's a meme out there, and it's like the Egyptians building the pyramids. And the top panel, it shows a guy sitting on top of a rock being pulled by what looks like slaves with a whip, and he's pointing forward. And it says, boss. Underneath it, it shows a guy holding the rope, standing in front of everyone else, as if they're all working together, pulling the rock, and he's pointing forward with his mouth open like he's saying, this way. That is a leader. Pulling, still guiding direction. And to, again, reference to the Good to Great book, which I keep referencing these days, it's a good leader needs to, of course, be driving the bus. And their job is to make sure that he has the right people on the bus. He has to have the right people in the right seats on the bus. That's a whole nother episode. And he then needs to drive the bus to the destination. He's still driving the bus. He's still in charge. He's still the leader. He's still controlling it. But everyone's going with him on the bus, following his direction. It's not a command thing. It's not a do it my way or else. It's an earned respect that makes people want to follow you. And that's what a true leader is. And in conclusion, leadership is not about authority or titles, but it's about influence, humility, and the respect earned through actions, not demands. A true leader leads by example, builds trust, and inspires others to follow because they believe in the leader, not because they have to. And leadership can emerge from within any level in an organization. And it's built on teamwork, integrity, and a teachable spirit. Like I said, you can be a leader to the guys that are above you and below you just by earning respect. And leadership is about guiding others with respect, empathy, and strength of character. As we look on these examples, we see that leadership is less about the position you hold and more about the example you set and the way you treat others. Anyway, I'm Isaiah. This has been your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. If today's episode added value to your day, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment and consider giving us a stellar 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. Whether it's Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, or more. And remember, if you leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, I will personally read it out in the next episode. To support the show, you can make a one-time gift by buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/bootstrap. Donate through PayPal at paypal.me patreon.com/IOCPOD, or make a contribution on our Patreon page at patreon.com/IOCPOD. Your support keeps the episodes coming. For even more content and exclusive perks, join our Patreon community at patreon.com/IOCPod. Patrons enjoy ad-free episodes, access to our private Discord server, early content previews, and a lot more. And here's an exciting offer. Get your free trial of our $5 a month Bootstrapper Community Explorer tier. This exclusive tier grants you ad-free content, Discord server access, and early content previews. Join us and be part of the inner circle. If you're feeling more generous, those who join tiers $25 a month and up will have a chance to be a featured guest on this podcast. A massive thank you to Wintergatan for generously providing the incredible intro and outro music at no cost. We appreciate their support. Be sure to check out Wintergatan's amazing work on YouTube at youtube.com/@Wintergatan. Until next time, I'm your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, Isaiah O'Connor, signing off. This is the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, brought to you by Athos Business Solutions. For our companion podcast, the Athos Business Podcast, hosted by Jason St. Clair, along with past episodes and related blogs, visit our website at athos.com. That's ATHEOZ.com or theoz.com. Goodbye for now.